now I'm ready. Will we get some spicy 50-50s in NA? But hey, time will tell. It is match number 1. We are kicking it off on Storm Point, and I couldn't be more excited to be stealing Fallout's duo for the night. Thank you, Vicky.
Yeah, right? I'm so excited. It's going to be a good time here, especially after seeing the action throughout this past week. So many Apex Legends tournaments happening to keep a lot of our legends warmed up. As we get started, you can see the dropship with the respective teams going to their POIs. Optic obviously landing at Mill. That was a fight for the Sentry against Sentinels back in the day. Sentinel said, all right, you know what? You can absolutely hold that while they're going to be able to land somewhere else here. You can see Furia is watching with a split drop real quick, going off to the side, wondering where the rest of Furia is going to be, if they are going to stick to Lightning Rod. We did see some early contention in day number 1 with Furia, who didn't have the best game, but again, his Watson is back in this roster. It's going to be nice to see as we take a look at TSM. Our winners of day number 1, they had such a strong showing, but it did take some time for this team to ramp up.
Yeah, and I think that they kind of had a point to prove, right? We always talk about the TSM legacy and kind of how dominating of a team they are. So I feel like that can sit heavy, right? You need to be able to live up to the standard that the ALGS community has for you and you have for yourselves. You know that you want to be a champion and you want to get back into those positions where you can garner yourselves a championship. And it starts here and now in the Split 1 Pro League. So I think TSM coming out on top in that match day 1 was exactly the confidence booster that they needed.
Yeah, with the young legend Verhulst, we got to talk to him a little bit, just get his thoughts on the way that his team works around comms, the way that Raven has made such a heavy impact, bringing Raven on as a coach for this team. They're looking for consistency. This is the one team that got back-to-back wins in day number 1. They may not have secured double-digit KP, but the fact that they were able to finish with 7 KP to their name and then 6 KP right after that with the additional 12 extra points is always something nice to see. And I'm expecting TSM to play for positioning like we saw in that first day. They were playing extremely patient, even taking 50-50 rotations just in case. As we can see, a trident approach from C9. They usually love to play Mr. Worldwide going all the way around because they love playing the Loba, so the black market is going to be a handy factor into the composition C9's playing, but they're looking like they're making an appearance early on against a team that's already taking some shots at them before they steal all their loot.
Hey, gotta throw it on the black market and take as much loot as you possibly can, because that's why you've got the 2 purple shields and the blue shield, and you're just getting your weapons, your 30-30 kitted out. You already have that purple heavy mag, and you've got your enemies in your sights just firing off into the distance. This is gonna be nice, because if you can force your teammates to utilize any of the health that may have been looted early on and force them to basically not have any of that, that's when you can just kind of swarm in and take them by storm, because you have the advantage.
And C9 is one of those squads that when we talk about overall standings, they need help. That's the best way I could word it. They need all the help. They're sitting at 25th overall in this region. They did not have the best day, and now they're looking to make up for it. So I like this quick rotation because Down Beast, like we saw already in the distance, is being contested by not just FaZe, but by Oxygen as well. So C9 playing on the cusp of Down Beast will allow them the opportunity to maybe take some shots, maybe get involved in a third party. But with the circle pulling this direction, you could definitely expect teams like TSM to also make an early appearance as well.
I love that you bring that up, because Oxygen would be kind of sandwiched in between the 2 POIs, which is not what you want. But hey, just getting all the loot necessary that you need. Verhulst saying, hey, I want to cut down this flyer, grab it, and see if there's anything of substantial value inside that death box. But you can just hear nearby someone's taking to the skies via that Valk ult, and look who's got a line of sight on that. That's going to be the CEO of NA Apex himself, Imperial How, with that G7 scout. But it's first attempt that's taken the skydive here. An Amigo Bronzy Saucer. It's kind of interesting. And Amigo used to play on the Luminosity roster, which is also going to be competing here again today, because they found themselves in the same group.
Yeah, a lot of these individual players are so strong, as Optic Gaming are going to get EMP'd. You can see the information coming in with the Seer Tactical, noticing that they're going to try to force this team out from this building. But with an early contention here, they're just looking to clear this side of the circle, so that way at least the southern side of Down Beast won't be contested, since we know that Optic Gaming is rotating away from Mill.
Oh, yes, and I don't really like some of the positionings in here, but Noct going in. That's going to be Atlanta Premier. That is not what I want when I'm hyping up my Dark Horse for them to go out first day of match 1. Atlanta Premier, no, but Optic Gaming, Fallout, you mentioned it earlier in that pre-show. You knew this is what you wanted. They needed to step up, show some dominance, and show us why they were so good in Sweden.
I would like to see how the initial start to that fight went down, because Optic Gaming just fully sent it on to that team, and they got deleted. They were even trying to take some cover. That shield bat had no chance of getting popped off. Now we get to look at Sentinels, who have been running a very interesting comp. You and I were talking about it in the pre-show action leading up to NA, and with Lou rocking the Revenant, I mean, I get it. We've seen Cossack, we've seen Crypto, Watson, but the Revenant has been a very interesting flavor of choice for Sentinels.
Yeah, this is gonna get spicy as the Thermites come in. Crust trying to get the bat off does. Throws out the arc star to kind of garner some space here so they can reposition and wait for them to push. I love the hand signs going out from the Watson as she goes to create the fences. But the question is, they're going to be fine warding off any push. But we see tripods as well, just on the outskirts of the down beast. You can see Gent right there getting some information. But we need to talk about Nick Merckx on Watson, because as he made that transition over, I was living for it. Love that positioning, because sometimes it just takes moving someone off a legend that they may not be doing the best on and finding a more defensive legend, and I think it's really fitting tripods well.
Yeah, aside from that, also completely shifting the way that they approach the game too. They're willing to play for positioning, very similar to what we saw in EMEA with Scars. They're looking to sit in that final circle, unlike Optic, who turned their tail right back to their POI so that way they can take another fight. They see an opportunity, if they got the Seer on their team, and they're looking to collect some more heads to add on to their KP. It's slept on to have the high ground right now, but they also put down the exhibition from the Seer to see if they can find that information, but Optic Gaming are playing perfectly outside of that range.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. If you see an exhibit go up, if you've got the distance to put in between you and that, just sit just on the outside of it. I believe it only lasts for 30 seconds, so just garner yourself some time and then make your way in. Force them to use that Seer exhibit before you throw yours down on. And Optic already carrying some momentum forward from that fight with Atlanta Premier, and they are looking for their next prey.
I have to talk about Optic. Every time I don't, Dupe is like, Vicky, don't forget about us. And I always tell Dupe, I can't. You guys make it too difficult out here. But after that performance in that first day, it was very easy to see that Optic needed to work on some stuff. Now, the exhibition, though, they also are a beacon to let other teams in the area know that they were in the middle of a fight. It's BR Demons say, all right, you can focus to the skies, but don't forget, it's not a bird, it's a plane. It's a bullet to your back, as BR Demons are looking to clean up Optic Gaming.
And you can tell that Optic was not expecting anyone to be in the vicinity, which is really tough when we've been a Seer meta. You have the ability to look for heartbeats within a 50 meters, and now Optic is trying to pull some Fast and the Furious moves outside of the black hole, but they're getting sucked in, and BR Demons showing why they are the dark horse of North American ALGS as they are going through and eliminating Optic Gaming.
That did not just happen. They did not just try to... Oh my goodness, the black hole pulling them in while they try to run away on the Trident. It was a Renegade Trident. They lost control of the entirety of the vehicle, and they could not do anything about it, but unfortunately succumbed to the BR Demons. You know the BR Demons are definitely feeling themselves after that. Says, you know what, sucks to suck. Now GG go next. We're going to be able to rotate around this rock. We're going to try to figure out a way to approach this next circle, because that's something else we got to highlight. This circle is pulling towards Northpad, but it's pulling towards the outskirts where we saw that C9 situated themselves in one of those alleys so that way they could actually contest any of the squads that want to rotate away from down beast. Well, I believe they have the positional advantage. While we take a look at Sentinels, who also haven't been having the best time in this game, losing out on 2 members, it's only up to Senox to really run for his life. So getting slowed down by the solo EMP ult, you could see that he is desperate.
If you're getting EMP'd, you know the guard is nearby, ready and waiting for you, and that who is going to be dealing the nail in the coffin to Sentinels here in map number 1. It's the guard. They're coming off a win there in match day number 2, and you know the hype, the passion. You got Rambo, RKN, and Keon, and there is something to be said about the passion that exudes in Rambo. I was watching that last match day, and just the hype, everything. He was screaming. I think he like 1v4 a team and got 5th place before going out, being super consistent as that solo Watson. It was pretty nutty.
Yeah, it's the energy that he wants to portray as Rambo in real life, literally. I mean, after seeing the energy that Rambo provides as a player and as a personality, you gotta watch out. RKN gotta back down a little quick. Gets pinged right across the distance by that sniper. But you talk about Rambo and you talk about his energy. I mean, we saw from GMT when he went in as a sub for Max Strafey, he was bringing in the energy for a team that he didn't really have practice with. So now with the guard, he's got that consistent practice. He's got the consistent teammates to work off of, and they had such an amazing day day number 2, looking to replicate that for day number 3.
I did see the tweets go out, stand guard. Let's see if they can do it, because you know they want to replicate the success, and I think they're setting themselves up very well defensively here. If you've got the Watson, you have your Jenny available, your fences, this is one of the areas that you can actually control the space in this map, because you have the defensive legends to have that ability. But you mentioned it earlier, Namiya, if you rotate in too early, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous here as the guard are just trying to figure out what their next plan is here. As we get to see where they're going to be patiently waiting for their next move, why don't we tune in to our first listening of the day presented by Western Digital to the guard.
It's like the little slips on each side. They're like all still in, so someone could land and get in behind you is the issue.
Yeah. Can you hit beacon? Oh my god, it doesn't hard pull. We should actually just stay.
Oh, we're vibing. Yeah, we're vibing. Just, yeah, that guy's gonna be cringe all game.
They're fighting on like this, on the west, like somewhere. Oh, it's far. Why did that sound so close? It's literally in down beast. I can hear it like it's next to me.
Bro, it's just... Our spot gets better as the game goes on, though, so... Yeah, keep long going to you.
I'm not. I have an alternator wingman.
There's a 2 to 4.
We start getting pressured. What's our move? Do we want to move like?
Does anyone want a
somewhere or what?
3x?
Can't use it. Alternator wingman.
We don't really, bro. We don't really have an option to go anywhere else. Like,
Team right here. Team right here.
Yeah, they've been there.
our bunker's not in anymore. We just kind of have to alpha this.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Bo was saying where do we move to if we get pressured? We can't really move anywhere.
Yeah, we just stay. We just fight it if we can.
Like, there's no one in this ravine yet, so like we can back up into ravine if we need to hard reset, but we're just gonna get pressured from the other side of ravine with the guy that has the longbow is literally gonna be longbowing us again.
I love these comms because you could hear the situational awareness and just trying to figure out the 50-50s that they could take depending on what's to meet them on the other side in the middle of the rotation. Even, you know, being funny, using keywords like they may have the alpha to wear their way in, and then you could hear them saying, I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Basically force their way into the circle, even if they get pressured out by the longbow. It's very important to hear the situational awareness that we can hear from some of these teams as Luminosity fully setting in into Oxygen, who were just stationed up inside this house. They fully sent it in. Not only with a Bangalore smoke to close in the gap, but they get the first up almost immediately.
Yeah, they're doing exactly what they need to do, but the third party is coming in as Oxygen Esports is eliminated from the lobby. Now Yanya forced to try and disengage just a little bit and put a little bit of distance. They could utilize some Bangalore smokes if available to try and kind of hold and control their space, but it looks like the team that was pressuring in from that building is forced to disengage. But jumping on over to TSM, they look a little worse for wear right now. Hal currently down, Verholsten into their life, able to grab that blue shield, and it's E8 that's putting a lot of pressure on them. Meanwhile, Furia going to fall as well.
Yeah, Furia out of this lobby in 16th. Meanwhile, EA are looking to continue on their domination, but they're just being patient, waiting to see what TSM's gonna do. I mean, the circle's closing in right behind them soon here, so they're forced to funnel into E8's line of sight. You can see them just waiting patiently here after finishing off Imperial Howl, but also wondering what's all happening on the other side with the circle closing in. I'm expecting the likes of 100 Thieves to still be on the edge of that circle after EA and TSM are done. They're taking to the skies, but they take too much damage. Burrows took too much of that circle damage. Oh, that's gonna be it for TSM. What an unfortunate end at the very end to the hands of our E8 squad. We also saw on the feed Luminosity Gaming making sure that they could stay on top. Our full Mexican squad looking to continue on their own domination. Yanya's shots were on fire earlier with that car.
Yeah, and Jaguars, in addition to the team, as opposed to an enemy go, you know, we saw him on a different roster in the lobby, but now cutting on board to Space Station, dropped Frex and Xena. Let's see just how their positioning is going to help them here, because as this ring continues to pull into that spot that the guard is holding, it's going to be really tight, spicy, right? They have to. They want to alpha that. And Slept On, meanwhile, going to fall. But Space Station utilizing the Bangalore smokes, the Digi threats, trying to control the area and keep that upper hand in the fight, which is interesting, right? Because we're in a scan meta. Seer's Tactical gives you the ability to combat that Bangalore smoke, but Cloud9 is just stuck in this bunker. And I feel like we've seen this picture before in EMEA, Vicky.
Yeah, we've seen this time and time again. We've seen very similar situations. The Space Station are looking to rotate on the outskirts on this little dome-shaped building here over to the side. It's a bit open here, but taking to the high ground, they're going to be able to have that advantageous position over the teams that are forced to funnel their way out of down Bs. C9, I give it up this spot that they were originally holding since the very beginning. Maybe they got overzealous. They wanted to get ahead of the curve and maybe secure some KP. But with that, they're allowing the likes of other teams like Space Station to take control over their own building that they were holding originally.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting how Cloud9 decides to get out of the scenario that they are in. You mentioned that they're not really doing too well in the standings and they need to start off on a strong foot, but Frexes jumps down, tries to get a cheeky angle on Cloud9 inside. A lot of gas going out, but there's a digi-threat on this car, and Frex sees the victim inside, but there is a pole there in front of him, so he's not able to shoot necessarily through that. But there's 13 seconds. But this is what you get, but Gent goes down to the hands of Frex, who absolutely flips on him. That is what you need to do.
Oh, they were trying to creep up on them. Look how quick Tripod said, oh, never mind. We're so sorry. They turned around so quick. Jet literally turned the corner, and the reaction time from Space Station said, we're going to beam this guy. We're not even going to finish him. They're taking to the skies because they want to utilize this skyward dive so that way they can get deeper into circle, but they need to separate from Frex.
Oh, Frex, an inch of life, but able to survive. Cloud9 also crawling out of the bunker that they were in, taking to that skyward dive. But this is not going to be good. There's not a lot of buildings in the area. You're looking at essentially a trench system throughout this area of the map, and there's no free moments to land. You're forced to kind of utilize these supply bins as the only cover, but now you're in the center of an entire lobby.
And you feel like you're literally out in the open. I mean, that's what they are, is Luminosity cleaning up 100 thieves. Talk about the trenches. Luminosity is deep in it right now. You can see right now the feed also lighting up Space Station with a lot of the trouble coming in as Luminosity are looking to just loot up, reset. The Seer Tactical coming in, giving that information, hiding behind the Newcastle wall on top of it. Not even they're running the Newcastle, but they gotta work with what they got here when there's little to no cover in these trenches.
Hey, if you're going to take down 100 thieves, you get the rewards, you get the Newcastle wall, and you get all of the loot from Onmu, Scurry, and co. And that is exactly what they're doing, finding themselves within that top 10 and elimination points here in map number 1. And, you know, shots going out. So this is going to be the moment where everything kind of dictates the pacing of this game. We are in that 5th circle, and now all of these teams are going to be collapsing upon one another, and I fully expect it to cut in half. The question is, how is the guard doing? They said they had the alpha spot and they just had to hold it. Are they still throwing it down in that moment?
Yeah, I think they are. They're still in the trenches and they're deep in it. And I believe they may be put into a sandwich situation if they're not careful. We know that Luminosity is right behind them too. As E8 gets some shots taken at them, they need to start moving into that next circle soon. You got less than 30 seconds on the clock. And E8 are trying to feel out what's happening right in front of them. They don't really have a lot of that information, just minus the Seer Tactical. They're going to be able to know with the heartbeat sensor that there is a squad to their left, but they also were getting pinged by a squad right in front of them on the high ground. So you see the guard has the middle, ESA on the left side of the guard. I know Luminosity is to the right of guard. Now we have to wonder where the rest of these squads are with the exhibition coming out.
Hey, Tripod's able to get the reset onto Gent, which is exactly what they needed to do. And with Nick Merckx on the Watson, able to fence in the area and keep their space kind of locked down. Sure, someone's taking to the sky and Nick Merckx is throwing some shots down. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. We just want it to stick. Meanwhile, E8 going to fall.
E8 gone, and it was at the hands of Saucer with that bow check sign as police also out of this lobby. 8 squads left as Tripods still hold on to dear lives, still have that exhibition out, so that way they know where all these other teams are rotating to, because they're not in the next circle, but they want to make sure they're not caught in the middle of the rotation.
Ooh, Tripod's getting pushed out into the line of sight of the guard, and Cloud9 going to fall. But the fact that Tripods is able to walk up very slowly, great Jenny there from Tripods, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Sure, Jen is able to grab it down onto Ludo, so we know ESA is in the mix now, but can they keep it alive?
We have to see desperately. You see the shield swaps coming in from Tripods. You see literally Nick Merckx was one, and it was ESA waiting for them on the other side. The Arc started to do the nail in the coffin from Capra. Here comes the guard now, moving in, finding an opportunity. ESA, though, continuously as a duo have added in enough pressure to prevent the guard from pushing in as a third party after that previous fight with Tripods. Luminosity still have been claiming these heads. Look at this. They got 7 KP to their name, and we got 4 squads left in this lobby.
I love that you bring up the KP count because the guard has been here since the start of of the game. Now is the time for them to reap the rewards and find as much KP as they can. RKN with those 30-30 shots, finding some connections on the other side. Keon getting tagged up, but they have so much loot from all the fights that have been happening. They have some easy shield swaps. So now it's Luminosity, SZN, and the guard running down here in the end game, but it's like a chess game right now. Vicky, who is going to move first?
Season definitely doesn't want to be put in the situation where they're going to inevitably get sandwiched in these trenches. Guard is in a really good spot themselves, but the moment that they get on this high ground, you know that Luminosity Gaming not only have the natural cover of that rock, they're going to beam the guard before they have an opportunity. Now, guard, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to get to that rock to their left side for some makeshift cover, because if they walk forward, even past these Watson fences, they're going to be sandwiched between these two teams.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen all day in EMEA. It's always the first two 3v3s that kind of start focusing their attention while the other just waits in tow for that perfect moment to third party. And you can see right now Season just trying to work their way in, but a big Bangalore ultimate coming in from Luminosity, just wreaking havoc on the surrounding area. Brilliant time to do it. Throw out your smokes and use those digi threats to just create havoc.
Yeah, they have the Rolling Thunder for space, but they don't have the Seer for information on the heartbeat sensor. I'm not too sure if they know that there's a member of Season right behind them. Yeah, they're rocking the Bloodhound, but they got to scan in that direction. Season now taking a nice off angle. This is the rock that I was expecting the guard to try to retreat to. With Season having the high ground now, they don't have to overextend. They can just wait for the opportunity to dive in after they start fighting.
You mentioned it. Season looking like a fishbowl right now. They are just picking apart the team below them, and they are just looking at every single person. Mr. Hakula putting down so much damage with that car, finding a lot of success. Kenny able to grab the down onto Yanya, and now it's an all-out brawl here in map number 1.
And this is because they have the high ground, they have the positional advantage. Luminosity is out. It's now up to Season to finish off the guard who are playing off the low ground. And Season, the team that you were looking out for, Tip, take game number 1 over the guard and Luminosity.
You can't see me right now, but I am literally dancing in my chair. That is exactly what Season needed to do. This is the day of revenge, of vengeance.